Hi there. Thanks for joining me here on Conversations for Yoga Teachers. I'm your host, Karen Fabian, the founder of Bare Bones Yoga and the creator of the Momentum Magic Method, the way to become a confident teacher, one who effortlessly walks around the room, shares clear cues, easily builds sequences, and speaks from your heart, sharing authentically with your students. Here on the podcast, you'll discover new and inspiring ways to share your cues and create your sequences. You'll uncover habits and frameworks all designed to empower you so that you can teach in a way that feels authentic and natural. For some episodes, I'll have a guest, and other episodes I'll share with you on my own, and in each one, you'll always get action steps and takeaways you can apply right away to your teaching. In addition to the podcast, follow me on Instagram and TikTok for daily videos. You'll see a link on both of my profiles, my Stan Store link. Click it and unlock ways you can get the support you need to be the teacher of your dreams. You'll find links to the podcast, my free ebook, and other resources to help you be the best teacher you can be. You'll also find the link to my signature program, the Yoga Anatomy Blueprint Learning Program, and you can see if you qualify to enroll. So with that, let's get on with today's show. Hi there. Welcome to Conversations for Yoga Teachers. I'm your host, Karen Fabian, and this is episode 332. So if you are listening to this, which obviously if you can hear my voice, you are, I just wanted to also start out by just mentioning that I am not recording the video version of the podcast today for YouTube. And it's simply because I have too much going on and I can't set up all the equipment to do the video part. I'm interested though, I have been recording the video version of the podcast for the past couple of months, and I'd love to know from you if you've ever watched it on my YouTube channel and if you found any value to having a video version of the podcast. I know for myself, I don't watch podcasts except on a rare occasion when I want to see the guest. So the reason I created a video version is to leverage the content, meaning I'm already doing the audio, so I can just turn the camera on and have something to put on my YouTube channel to keep the content there fresh and to give you an option if you want to watch a video version to see it. And I'm wondering if you're ever watching it. So if you can, just send me a direct message on Instagram and just say yes or no that you're watching the video version. I'd love to know that. Now, for today, I want to welcome you to the show. And what you're going to get out of this episode is you're going to learn, you're going to discover my brand new newly created framework for building your confidence. So you're going to walk away from this episode with a organized, easy to use way, what I call a framework, so that you can feel more confident. And who doesn't want that? I mean, I suppose you might be the kind of person who feels like your confidence is off the charts. What I've found in the many years I've worked with yoga teachers is that confidence is one of the biggest things that they ask me about. And over the past couple of months, actually, really over the holidays, over the Christmas and New Year's holidays, I sat in Starbucks for a couple of hours, actually more than a couple of hours. And I looked ahead at 2025 and I said, how do I want to help people in 2025? Do I want to continue to focus on yoga teachers? Do I want to expand the services and the offers and my teaching methodology so that it can help more people? And if so, what would I focus on? What problems are people having? What have I learned from working with yoga teachers that might be transferable to people in general, especially women, because most, if not all of the people I work with are women. And what came to me one of the days I was sitting at Starbucks is, well, confidence for yoga teachers and what I am teaching when it comes to helping yoga teachers build their confidence and skill, a lot of the problems that yoga teachers come to me with are problems that have their origin in not feeling so great about yourself, having self-limiting beliefs. And these are problems that everybody has, again, especially women. And so I started to expand my vision of who I wanted to help, from more than just yoga teachers to women in general, and really to people in general. Although I like to focus in on women because I think it's helpful to have messaging that really speaks to a particular kind of person. And so this was really the thinking behind taking my current teaching method that I use with yoga teachers and tweaking it so that it could be used by anybody. And that's what I'm going to share with you in today's episode. Now, you might say, well, why confidence? Why focus on that? Well, certainly, if you're a yoga teacher, I'm sure you'd agree that you need to be confident in order to be an amazing teacher, because the alternative is you feel nervous, you feel stressed. If you go into the room and you're really self-conscious, if you're fearful, if you have a lot of limiting beliefs about yourself, like I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not expert enough, I don't have enough experience, then all of that gets in the way of feeling confident. And when you don't feel confident, all those other feelings can come up that are negative. And so I think when we talk about it in the context of teaching yoga, it's a no-brainer. We want to feel confident if we're teaching yoga. And if we look at just women in general and how we live our lives and living our lives, feeling confident is the sort of fuel to our engine that motivates us to do everything, to eat healthy, to exercise, to take care of our bodies, to be proactive about our health care, to speak our truth, to seek out quality relationships, to pursue our passions, to have amazing relationships with family and friends. I mean, feeling confident is not just this unilateral thing of, I want to be able to go into a room and teach a yoga class or give a presentation. Feeling confident is in many ways feeling of value as a person. And so, I want to just sort of expand your view of confidence and almost connect it to self-worth and self-value. And those terms really start to talk about other related terms like empowered, feeling empowered, living life with purpose. And these are all things that I know are out there and very popular topics in the self-help world. So I'm not the first person to talk about them, but I have a unique perspective on the kinds of things that block women from feeling confident, because I've worked with yoga teachers for so many years, and I've seen women of all different levels of experience, all different places that they live, all different life experiences, and yet they all have this common thread of not feeling confident when they go in to teach their class. And knowing that teaching yoga, again, is a unique experience, and the challenges that yoga teachers face and need to overcome are unique to teaching yoga. However, the trigger in their case is teaching a yoga class. The trigger in someone's life who's not a yoga teacher might be walking in to do a presentation at work, having a difficult conversation with their partner, going into a room with people they don't know in a social situation. So there are lots of different ways that confidence can block us from living our best life and feeling really good about ourselves. I mean, confidence can even come up when you're having a conversation with your primary care physician and you're worried about something in your healthcare, and your primary care physician is sort of blowing it off, and you need to advocate for yourself and say, you know what, I want that blood test. I want that follow-up with a cardiologist. It's important to me because I've done some research to follow up in this particular way, and I don't care that you don't agree. Write the damn order. So, I'm 60 years old. I've lived a lot of life, and I am a very assertive, confident person. And I see all sorts of examples in my own personal life where I need to assert myself to get what I want. And it's not about being pushy, it's about believing in myself and taking the steps that I want to take so that I can get the results that I want and live the kind of life that I want. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So, don't be fooled by the confident term. Think bigger than just confidence to all these other aspects that I'm talking about. And confidence can sort of be our way to step through the door. So, what I've found with working with yoga teachers in particular that's led me to this kind of broader message is that when yoga teachers walk in to teach a yoga class, they're faced with this unique requirement that they teach a practice that's been around for thousands of years and do it in a way where they are interacting with people they don't know. And they're interacting with them in sort of a unilateral way, meaning they're just cueing them through the poses and the people are not talking back. So they have very limited feedback as to how the students are doing. And because yoga practice is embedded in this thousand-year-old historical model, there's this pressure that yoga teachers feel to do it in a way that honors the history. And because the yoga industry is so overrun with lots of clickbait articles and thousands of teachers promoting their way as the right way, yoga teachers oftentimes walk into the room and they're overwhelmed with this pressure to teach it right. And all that ends up doing is killing their confidence and blocking them from going into the class and feeling like teaching yoga is easy. Many yoga teachers feel yoga teaching is hard. And it's because of a lot of these other things that I just shared. Now, what I've found when I work with yoga teachers inside my one-on-one program, which is the Yoga Anatomy Blueprint Learning Program, and my work with teachers in my new membership that I started in December of 2024, and that's called the Yoga Teacher Confidence Club. What I've found is that people have self-limiting beliefs, and yoga teachers, when they walk into the room to teach a class, are oftentimes triggered by the responsibility to teach. And what boils to the surface is a self-limiting belief, like the ones I shared earlier. I'm not smart enough. I don't know anatomy. I'm not worthy. I'm not qualified enough to teach this class. I don't know that I feel comfortable with people looking at me. These are all self-limiting beliefs. And the skill of teaching yoga, the requirement to teach the class, brings these things to the surface. And I forgot to mention, I'm recording this on January 16th, 2025, and this will go live on January 20th, 2025. And I was just reminded of that because when I mentioned I started the Yoga Teacher Confidence Club in December of 2024, that was really just a few weeks ago. And we already have about 15 teachers in the club, and I'm meeting with the club weekly, teaching lessons, and the teachers are bringing their personal questions and getting one-on-one help. So I'm going to include the link to the club in the show notes. It's just $29 a month, and I'll include that there. And I would love, if you're a yoga teacher and you're looking for support, to have you jump into the club. So this is kind of the thing that yoga teachers often are experiencing. And so in my work with yoga teachers and some of what I just described, I was thinking when I was sitting in Starbucks over the holidays and thinking about broadening my message, is there something about what teachers experience that is transferable to what people experience? And that's a lot of times what comes up in some of the scenarios that I mentioned earlier, the talking to your doctor, the having the difficult conversation in your relationship, the advocating for yourself at your job, maybe asking for a raise, maybe giving that presentation. These are all areas where we want to feel confident, we want to feel empowered. And so it's not just for yoga teachers, it's for any woman in general. So what are the challenges to feeling confident? There are many. What I've found in my work with yoga teachers is that this idea of having self-limiting beliefs about oneself is one of the biggest challenges. And when you think about it, you're not born with self-limiting beliefs. You're born with this blank slate and this feeling like you can conquer the world. And you go into the world, most children go into the world with this wild abandon and this level of confidence. I know certainly in my many years of teaching yoga to children that I've seen this. There's no hesitation, there's no holding back. And certainly, and just the awfulness of children who have been affected by trauma, their reaction is obviously different. For children who have not experienced trauma, they have this sort of wild abandon, this way of acknowledging their unique way of being and just diving into that without any hesitation. And as we grow up, we have experiences that tell us, oh, it's not safe for me to show who I really am, or, oh, it's not taken well if I step into my unique way of being. I've told this story before about a yoga teacher I was in training with, one of my first trainings back in the early 2000s. I mean, I've been teaching for 22 years, so I have to go back that far to get to one of my first trainings. And she told a story after we did a practice teaching session about an experience she had as a child. And when she had taught her class, her practice class with us, she primarily was standing in the back of the room. And that is what triggered a lot of questions when she was done. We asked her, why were you in the back of the room? And then she began to cry, and she shared this story about how when she was young, one of the first times she dressed herself for school, she ran down the stairs excitedly to show her mom what she'd picked out. And her mother said, I can't believe you picked that out. You definitely can't wear that to school. That's not appropriate. Go back upstairs and change. And so she developed this hiding mentality, this not even really shyness, this shame around expressing her unique way of being. And that stayed with her all her life. And then here she is doing this practice teaching experience, and she's teaching from the back of the room because she's afraid to show herself. These kinds of experiences don't just evaporate. I know for myself, in 2023, I had several sessions with a hypnotherapist, and she connected me to my inner child. And inner child work is I don't want to say it's pretty common, but it's definitely a technique where in a deep meditation, you are asked inquiry questions that connect you to yourself when you were 5. And you begin to see yourself in this way as a child through the lens of who you are now, and you begin to communicate with that younger version of yourself, and you start to realize that that version of yourself is almost the counsel that you need to be the kind of person you want to be, because when you were that person, again, trauma notwithstanding, you faced life with a wild abandon. You advocated for yourself. You had confidence. And it's just that now, through life experience, you've sort of suppressed that natural tendency. And many times, what is the source of it is an experience or a lot of experiences you had along the way in your life. So, this is the kind of thing that I have found in working with yoga teachers. And the stories they've told have been, all unique and all personal and all from their own experience, and have touched on things like things that happened to them when they were in school, things that happened when they had to move, things that happened in their job, things that happened with their partner. And, keep in mind, the conversations I was having with these yoga teachers were conversations where they were enrolled in my program. And it wasn't like therapy. I mean, I have a clinical medical background when I worked as a vocational therapist, when I worked as a social worker. I am not, though, working as a counselor or a psychologist or anything with the yoga teachers in my program. In the context of helping them build their skills and move past a lot of the limiting beliefs that they have, people feel comfortable sharing these stories. And because of my background, I'm able to connect the dots in a way that they oftentimes can't see. So I just want to make that clarification from a professional scope of practice standpoint. It's definitely not therapy. It is more reflecting back to somebody so they can come to their own realizations. So those are some of the challenges that people have when it comes to feeling more confident. And so what I did over the holidays is I started to map out the 6 pillars of confidence. And I thought about it in a framework like a yoga practice, where it's not the kind of thing that I believe you're going to conquer once and for all and the problem's going to go away. It's a practice, just like yoga practice is a daily practice. It's not something you do once and you're amazing at it and then you put it away. It's something you do all the time, because part of a yoga practice is the acknowledgement that you're always changing. Life is always changing. The challenges you're facing are always changing. And if you have an approach that you can keep falling back on in those times, as well as in the good times, that's how we build resiliency. And when we're resilient, we're able to better withstand the inevitable challenges that life will throw at us with grace and with compassion, not only for other people, but for ourselves. And that's the kind of thing that helps with our longevity, that decreases stress, that has a literal impact on our physical as well as our mental health. So when I started to think about what would be the pillars of a confidence practice, I came up with 6 pillars. So I want you to think of it like a house. And in the house, there are 6 pillars holding up the house. And the house represents confidence, being a confident, empowered person. And the pillars all need to be there. You can't just have one, you need to have all 6. And so here are the 6 pillars. I'm just going to quickly go through them, and over the next couple of weeks and months, and I'm going to tell you at the end of this episode about a live event I'm going to be doing online, you're going to learn and discover more and more about the confidence practice. Today, what I wanted to do is introduce you to the framework. So pillar number 1 is yoga/movement. So it doesn't have to be yoga. I think there's a lot of advantages to having it be yoga. It just needs to be movement every day. You know, we all have these Apple Watches that ding us when we're sitting too long. It's built on this concept based in science that the more we move throughout our day, the healthier person we are. There's so much science around the benefits of not just exercise, but daily movement. In fact, I was reading Dr. Casey Means' book the other day. I would highly recommend it. And she was reviewing a study where they found that short bursts of exercise throughout the day were almost more impactful in a positive way on people's health than 1 hour a day, several times a week. And so this idea of incorporating yoga and movement into every single day becomes part of feeling confident, not just because you feel good that you exercise. And I don't think anybody's going to deny that when you put the time in and exercise, you always feel good. But the effects of exercise on the brain are undeniable. And we're not going to go into all the science now, but there are lots of hormones and effects on our physical and mental health that only happen in this way when we are exercising, when we are moving. And it can be a brisk walk, it can be walking the dog, it can be yoga, it can be a HIIT workout, it can be dancing. You know, pick the way you want to move. It could be getting up from your desk every 20 minutes and doing air squats. Whatever it is, it's just that moving every day is part of feeling good, and feeling good is one of the gateways to feeling confident. Number 2, experimentation and daily challenges. You know, last week I offered people a 5-day confidence challenge as a way to experiment with different things to do so that you tap into feeling confident. And I'm going to tell you at the end of this episode how you can participate in the 5-day confidence challenge. So if you missed it, don't worry. So this idea of experimentation comes from the work I've done with yoga teachers when they would come to me and say, I'm feeling stuck. I have this problem. Let's say every time I go in to teach my class, I forget the sequence and I'm compelled to practice with my students. And I don't know how to get out of this. And I really want to be the kind of yoga teacher who does the walk and talk. I don't want to have to practice with them all the time. I want to be able to see them. I want to be able to have the freedom to walk around the room. My body's tired. Maybe I have an injury. Maybe I'm pregnant and I don't feel like doing all this yoga. Maybe I don't want to have to intertwine my practice with my teaching. Oh my goodness, you mean give yourself your practice back? How amazing would that be, right? So let's say that's what a yoga teacher comes to me with in terms of a problem. So I can't just say to them, well, just stop practicing with them and think that's going to work because they've built a habit around it. So instead, the idea is to have the conversation and to see, would it be possible for you in your next class to start out on your feet and to experiment with how long you can stay on your feet rather than practicing with them? And if the teacher is coachable enough that they say, yeah, I'm willing to try that, then go and try it. That is a growth mindset. And the idea of a growth mindset was coined by Carol Dweck, who I believe is out of Stanford, maybe. I'm not sure on the location on the university, but DWECK is her name. And this growth mindset concept illustrates that you're willing to try something different to fix a problem. Because the alternative is you're not willing to try something different to fix the problem, or you think there's only one way to do it, and the problem continues. Matter of fact, I get emails from teachers. There's a handful of teachers that I get emails from about every 3 months. They always have the same problems. And every time I offer to work with them one-on-one to help them fix their problems, they ghost me. They just evaporate into thin air. And then 3 months later, they come on back. They take a download I have, or they send me a question, or they respond to one of my emails. And then when I write them back and I say, I'd love to help you, they ghost again. And so this is the kind of thing that if you're not coachable and you stay where you are, nothing is going to change. Matter of fact, it was for people like that that I thought, oh, when I create this $29 a month membership, those people are finally going to step forward and do what they want to do to fix the problems they tell me they have, because now I've taken money out of the equation. Now there's no reason. $29 a month is so affordable. There's no reason not to take action to get the results you want as a teacher. So again, when you're coachable, when you're willing to experiment with a different way of doing something, it is a sign that you are confident, that you believe in possibility, that you have faith in your ability to change so that you can get the result that you want. So this idea of experimentation is pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is the process of looking inside you to better understand the kind of person you are. And this is actually the kind of thing that can be challenging to do on your own. There's this concept of you can't think yourself out of a problem that you yourself created. And it's understandable because when you created the problem in maybe a way of looking at a particular situation, a relationship, a job situation, the world, whatever it is, you created that framework, that way of looking at the situation. And that's, for many people, the only way they're going to see it unless they ask somebody else. Why do you think girlfriends call their girlfriends when they have a problem? Because they're seeking another POV, another point of view. And this is one of those things that, in my work with yoga teachers, and again, if we broaden it to women in general, I find so interesting. And this oftentimes relates to how somebody was raised. If they were raised in an environment where they were told there's a right, wrong, they have this binary approach to life. And so then they begin to look at problems they have as there's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it. And what I found in working with people is that there's so much more nuance than right, wrong. And so this sort of self-inquiry is the beginning to, in many cases, realizing you actually need help to get yourself out of a particular way of thinking to a more productive way of thinking where you'll begin to get the results you want. Pillar number 4 is meditation. We're done in 2025 with I'm not able to meditate. I'm not the kind of person that can meditate. Anybody can meditate. Call it something different. Call it sitting down for 5 minutes with your eyes closed and breathing. If you don't have 5 minutes to sit down and take a handful of deep breaths, then I don't want to hear anything about any problems that you have. Because, we can address meditation through the science. We can address meditation through the mental health benefits. We can address meditation through just the somatic sensations that are so positive from doing it. We can address meditation from the positive changes in focus, from increased ability to have attention to what you're doing, which obviously is focus. There's so many benefits to it. And gone are the days that people can say, oh, I don't know how. I mean, there's half a dozen, if not more, apps on your phone. And truly, honestly, it's really just sitting for 5 minutes and closing your eyes. That's all it is. And it relates to the self-inquiry, because if you're unable or afraid to or blocked around just sitting for 5 minutes and taking a few deep breaths, then I would surmise that there's probably some confidence problems there as well. There's that inability or lack of interest or denial that self-inquiry even needs to be part of my life. And when we shut off those channels, we miss opportunities to develop a better relationship with ourselves. This is what I've found in my work with yoga teachers, that it's not just about being a better yoga teacher. It's really about developing a better relationship with yourself. And what that means is being a dynamic individual that has this relationship with oneself, where we're not always beating ourselves up, where we're encouraging to ourself, where we're facing challenges, where we have resiliency. These are all things that happen not by going through life with this binary view, the right lens is wrong, the left lens is right. It's going through life with this ability to appreciate nuance and to have appreciation for doing things like meditation and self-inquiry. So pillar number 5 is visualization. And I want you to think about any athlete you've ever heard interviewed on TV inevitably says, I had this dream as a child. So they're interviewing the athlete, they just won the gold medal, and you'll hear them say, I had a poster on my wall, I saw myself doing, of somebody who did this, and I saw myself doing it too. I closed my eyes and I dreamed over many years as a child of this exact moment. There are countless examples of the power of the mind when we use our mind to visualize what we want. And so this idea of not just sitting and meditating, but sitting and visualizing now becomes one of these powerful pillars in this confidence practice, because it speaks to the power of sitting and seeing what you want in your life, and not just what you want from a material standpoint, but seeing yourself doing the thing that you want to do in your life. So seeing yourself going on that vacation, seeing yourself asking for that raise, seeing yourself teach that yoga class and feeling amazing afterwards, seeing yourself build that wellness center, seeing yourself buy that new house, whatever it is, seeing it in your mind and using visualization as the bridge to doing that. And then the last pillar, number 6, is healthy habits. And healthy habits here is meant to define a number of different habits based in science, based in specifically neuroscience, based in positive mental health, based in general health and wellness, things that can become their own pillars within this pillar of healthy habits. And you probably have your own healthy habits that you love. I picked out a handful that I love, that I do, that I teach when I work with yoga teachers. Things like, again, visualization, positive affirmation, doing things that are going to put you in a positive frequency. For instance, I have a private feed on my TikTok that I have cultivated over the years I've been on TikTok, videos that I know will make me smile, make me feel good, teach me something I want to learn. And when I'm feeling down, I go to that feed and I scroll through that feed and I douse my brain with positive imagery, positive messaging, and I know I will bump up to a higher frequency. When I go for a run, when I go for a walk, when I hug my dog, right? All these things put me in a higher frequency. So what do you do that makes you feel good? And do you do those things when you don't feel so good? This becomes part of your healthy habits. I also talk about, and I'm not the first one, I love the concept of habit stacking. So I listen to a podcast I love when I exercise. I listen to a podcast I love when I go for a walk, right? I bring a book to Starbucks when I drink my tea and take my afternoon break. I stack healthy habits together to get more out of what I'm doing. So, to summarize here, the 6 pillars of the confidence practice: number 1, yoga/movement; number 2, experimentation/daily challenges; number 3, self-inquiry; number 4, meditation; number 5, visualization; and number 6, healthy habits. Now, I want you to imagine at the center of the circle is the word confidence. And all of the pillars I just named are spokes off that wheel. You can also use the metaphor I described before of the house held up by 6 pillars. The house represents confidence, and the pillars are all supporting it. So that is your introduction to the confidence practice. And as I said in the episode earlier, I am going to be doing a live event over the next couple of weeks that will give you an opportunity to dive into this confidence practice even more. I'm going to include some yoga practice as well as guided visualization. So we're going to bring a lot of this to life. Now, I don't have the date yet, but what I want you to do, if you want to be sure you're invited and you see the invite, is I want you to send me a DM on Instagram, Bare Bones Yoga, and just say, send me the invite to the upcoming event, something along those lines. And I'll put you on a waiting list, and you'll be one of the first to find out when I pick a date. It's definitely going to be over the next few weeks, so no later than mid-February 2025. Number 2, I mentioned the Yoga Teacher Confidence Club. You can join for just $29. There's no minimum or maximum number of months you can be in there, so you could even do it, try it for a month and then quit. But I bet if you try it for a month, you're going to stay and you're going to absolutely love it. I support you through weekly workshops where I come with a lesson to teach around cueing, sequencing, doing the walk and talk, anatomy, all different sorts of things, including building your business. And then I go into questions from individual teachers. You can get to the link in the show notes or right off my Instagram bio. And then the last thing is, if you want to do the 5-day confidence challenge, just send me a DM and I'll send you the link to the challenge. I don't have it linked up yet, so I still need to send it out manually. So if you want to do that, send me a DM, 5-day confidence challenge, and I'll send it to you. So with that, we're at the end of the episode. I want to thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Conversations for Yoga Teachers. Namaste. Thanks for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And hey, one more thing. While I don't know you personally, I know what a yoga teacher looks like who's ready to have a breakthrough to being the kind of yoga teacher who walks around the room, sharing cues you know the reason for, understands anatomy, teaching signature sequences without notes or any need to practice with class, and loves teaching yoga without stress, anxiety, or nervousness. If you are ready to be that yoga teacher, here is your next step. DM me the words podcast offer, and I will give you a special incentive to work with me inside of my signature program just because you are listening to the podcast. DM me on Instagram at Bare Bones Yoga. I can't wait to hear from you.